Because if I understand why I have to do X, Y, Z, I'll remember it. But if you
Mhm.
just tell me you got to do X, Y, Z, and I'm not mindful and I don't know the root cause of why am I doing it, it's just like, you learn it and then it goes away. But when you really understand the why behind what you're doing, it stays with you, I think, for a lifetime, really, because
Yeah. Yes, and that is a very valid point. If you don't have a why, you're just doing things. You're just plodding through life, or you're just going to work, or you're just doing whatever if you don't have that why. And in your case, you have a very big why, and you're very clear about what that why is and why you're developing these games and why you're doing all this stuff. Alrighty, it is time to stop hitting snooze and awaken to a life worth being, the fun and inspiring podcast that dives deep into what makes life truly fulfilling. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, a self-proclaimed badass transformational life coach for women over 40. Join me as I explore the extraordinary journeys of ordinary people who've transformed their lives from the inside out. Tune in weekly to uncover the secrets to smashing through your perceived limits and creating a life that's not just well lived, but totally worth being. Hi, and welcome to another episode of A Life Worth Being. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, and my incredible guest today is Zorina Pritchett. Zorina is a disabled Army veteran, retiree, and new entrepreneur. She's also the founder of Zochi, venture crafting engaging, educational, and quick play card games for children. A perfect respite from digital distraction for both parents and kids. Her brand, Zomatic Shift Card Games, is available online at Walmart. Zorina also has a soon to be released children's book entitled Dancing Teardrops. Her most notable achievement is being a caregiver for her brother following his brain stroke, which is requiring compassion, resilience, and determination to help in his recovery of cognitive impairment and aphasia. In her spare time, of which it doesn't sound like she has much, she enjoys helping veterans with their disability claims. Wow. Thank you for everything that you are doing, and welcome to the show, Zorina. I can't wait to get into our conversation.
Thank you for having me, Sue. I really look forward to a robust conversation.
Well, with all of those things that you have going on, I can't see how it could be anything but robust. Let me start by asking you about, so you're a retired Army veteran,
No,
and
I'm not a
I'm
retired
sorry.
Army veteran. I'm sorry. I was in the military, an Army veteran, but I am retired from the federal government. I
Ah,
spent 30 years
gotcha.
serving veterans.
Okay. So that was my mistake. I misinterpreted that.
That's okay. I wish I did retire. Then I have two checks.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, especially during retirement.
Right? Right.
Mhm.
So you also said that you're a new entrepreneur. So I'm really curious about Zochi and Zomatic Shift and all of that. What inspired you to, in your retirement, go in that direction and create a card game? That is phenomenal.
I know it sounds insane a little bit when you think about it, because when we go on retirement, it's supposed to be all about you. Well, back in December of 21, I had this dream about a card game, and it just stayed on my mind so much. And I thought, wow, I decided to go to my local hardware store, get some paint cards, and just reduplicate the vision that I was seeing. And then I shared it with my family. They liked it. And then I just started to develop a prototype and played it with my granddaughters. And one of the amazing things that I noticed, the girls will put down their screens, because that was something I was concerned. Every time I visit, they were always into their phones. And when I noticed that they enjoyed when we all played the game together, their grandmother, that's me, their parents, we just had amazing fun. And so my granddaughter had come to visit, had put the phone, I put the game away because it was like, and she said, Gigi, I want to play that game. I was like, she said, what game? That shift game you created. And we played it. And still, my granddaughter said, Gigi, I really like this game. I really think kids are going to like it. I think you should put it out there. And as a
Wow.
mother, you want to please them, right? And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. And then after testing the game for about a year and a half and seeing other kids with always with their digital and knowing how fast paced the game is, a very quick paced game. You can play it in 3 to 10 minutes. That's it. I decided I want to make a difference. I want to give parents a tool that if they want their child to have a break with their screen, you have a great transitional quick play game that they can play to create that social engagement. And I jumped out there, passionate, and whoa, at 60, I'm like, wow, I'm learning something new. But let me tell you, you 60 plus and older, we are never too old to learn something new. So this journey of entrepreneurship, it wasn't planned, but it gave me another purpose in life, and I am enjoying the journey.
I love that you said that this came to you, as a grandmother, and as being an individual over a certain age, and that you are not, life isn't over, because I am a transformational life coach for women over 40 and beyond, mostly, beyond. And it is true that I think a lot of women, like you said, when you retire, just, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll just sit around and knit or do something, right? But you're like, no, my grandkids want me to create this game. They love it. And the thing is that they asked you for that.
Yeah,
And you just dove in. You're like, if this is what they want and they think other kids will want it and other kids did want it, I'm going to do it, because there's a lot to learn, right?
yeah. But let's be honest, Sue, that was some foolishness a little bit. I'm gonna say it's
How
foolish.
so?
I'm gonna say it's foolish, you guys, because I just impulsively said yes without research. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did the research, boy, did I dish out a lot of money. But I wanted to leave, like most grandparents, we want to leave a good impression on our children, especially girls, because the one that wanted me to put it out on the market is the one that wants to be an entrepreneur herself,
Yeah.
and she's been working with me. And so I didn't count up the cost, but I didn't want the disappointment. And along the way, things have been happening to me organically where help came to me that made it a little smooth transition. Because I've only been in business now a year. And
Mm.
so during that time, I have 3 games, but 2 on the market because the third game, I just got it printed and testing. Walmart is working with me to elevate my games because they see the potential in it. I decided to take a risk and join a boot camp that they're offering for disabled veterans. I got selected for that. And so I'm glad that it gave me that push because I think you're right. Sometimes we have this mentality that when we get older, oh, we're done. There's not much I can
Yeah.
do and this, but you'll be amazed that when you see something beyond yourself and you want to still continue to have impact in this world in such a powerful way, it re-energizes you. I got a bum knee right now requiring total knee replacement, and I still get up there with my hopping self. I got a game therapy with seniors on Monday to tell them, encourage them to positive about playing games and engaging themselves with kids. I'm not going to let it stop me because I have a new purpose. And when you know what your purpose is and you're willing to do the work and partner with others that see it, go on out there and do it. Just do it and have fun doing it.
That's it for the podcast, everybody. She just she just summed everything up in a neat little package. Oh my God. You are so spot on with all of that. Wow. Thank you for that. That was beautifully stated, and I love that you're out there spreading that message and inspiring other people, old people, young people, everybody in between. And also, the beauty of your games brings the whole family together. Now, I know that there was another, how old are your granddaughters?
They're 13 and 14.
Okay. I know that there was another sort of reason why you wanted them kind of off their devices. Do you mind speaking to that a little bit? That was
Oh,
also
yeah.
an impetus for you to create this game?
Oh, yes, definitely. Parents, those devices they're using them now for entertainment as well as educational. And with
Mhm.
my girls, how it really came to the forefront, my youngest, she was on her device so much all throughout the day, except for school hours. Her grades started dropping. And then we
Mm.
also noticed a change in her behavior. She started getting calls to teachers saying she's saying some inappropriate things to kids out of anger, her irritability, her focus. And then with the oldest one, she likes to go on YouTube to these little game spots the kids go to. I can't name it, but we found out she thought she was playing a game with another child, and it turned out to be a grown man from Russia.
Oh boy.
So after that experience, my son, they started putting what you call it, child protections on their phones and guarding them and
Yeah.
everything. And we see a lot of improvement with that. And I think that's why my granddaughter Meadow, the one whose grades were dropping, is why she wants to partner with me to send this message out about digital balance. And one of the things too about playing games, I want to say, Sue, when we were playing the game with her, we didn't know she had emotional regulation issues. We didn't know
Ah.
because
Huh.
the game plays so fast. She started throwing cards and we didn't know what was going on with her. And later, I asked her what was going on with you. And she said, Gigi, the game played so different. It was faster. And I just didn't know how to respond to it because she's competitive. She
Uh-huh.
said after playing it for a while, it was able to keep my attention. And then I also was able to calm down and enjoy the experience with my parents. And she said that is one of the things, other than the quick play, she said the most memorable thing for me, Gigi, about this game is being able to sit down with my parents and create memories. Because when we play, we throw in all the antics and smack and everything. We really have fun with it.
I love that. That's awesome. And I love that she is the one that said that that was her biggest takeaway from it. The game was fun and all that, and it was engaging and fast moving. And I think, as with kids, I mean, because we're so wrapped up in our digital devices and everything is instant gratification, and, it's like watching a movie versus going to a play, right? A play is widescreen only. You don't get those sharp cuts and all that
Mhm.
stuff, right? But through all of that stuff that stimulated her, that her biggest takeaway was reconnecting or connecting with her parents and her family. And I think that, I was having a conversation with another guest about how important that is. And she does it through meals, cooking and eating everyone down at the table at the same time, having a conversation, no phones, and just interacting.
Yep. I think playing games also, if you really think about it, you let your guards down. You feel like you're in a safe environment with people that love you and support you. And so I use it with my girls when I want to just talk about what's going on with them. We're playing
Uh,
the games. Hey, there's school going on. And so for some reason, it's like they just open up because we're having fun and we're just laughing. And I throw a couple of jokes in there and stuff, and it just relaxes them. And they share things with me that they haven't shared with their family. And I haven't, it's nothing where I need to run and tell their father about it, their
right.
mom, but it's something that as a grandmother you can give some little basic. But I feel like it is something that we can utilize with our kids to connect with them. And also, one of the things I tried just out of curiosity with one of my games, Pass and Play, I did a demonstration at a special needs class because I thought about those children because there was a small little girl that had issues with playing the older version, Zomatic Shift, and so I modified it. And when I played it with those children, it touched my heart. It gave me another purpose that I like playing, making these simple games that are inclusive, not only multi generational, but depending on the spectrum that they're on, they can play that game with their family. You may have to modify it to slow the speed down, but again, it's that engagement, it's that bonding that we want to do today. And if I can be a part of that, that families can have fun and bond during holidays or just family game nights or just grandma just wants to sit and have some fun with her grandkids. I want to be a part of that of making that story available in my creative way.
Yeah. That's a fantastic story, and I am so impressed that this came to you in a dream and that you acted on it. And I mean, that's the thing about being an entrepreneur and trying new things is that you do have to step outside of your comfort zone, no matter what your comfort zone is. And you were not afraid to do that. You like you said, don't be apologetic, right? I mean, yeah, you learn some things and you say, well, maybe I could have done it a little bit differently, or maybe maybe I took too much of a risk,
That's
but
true.
what is the reward? I mean, the reward for you seems very large. And what are your feelings about that?
It really wasn't easy for me though, so to be honest, it
Mhm.
was hard. And the reason why it was hard because, and being transparent, when I was growing up, I could not play games. I couldn't stay focused. And so what I would do is not draw attention to myself. I will always be the one that says, I'll volunteer to be the scorekeeper.
Oh,
But I always wanted to play games. And so when I created this game, I want to play it every time I can because I can stay focused. It's not too long, especially with my anxiety and depression associated with my military. I just don't have the bandwidth to play a very long game. So if I can get in there, have some fun with my grandkids and my friends, it really enriches my life. So every time I get a chance to connect socially, I want to do that. The other hard part about going into the game industry is lack of knowledge. Now,
mm,
telling a story, writing a script, and training, that is my expertise. But knowing the industry, knowing the dynamics. And so, how did I come up with the formula? I didn't come up with the formula organically. I literally prayed. I say, okay, God, how do I do this game? These girls love these games, but how do I put it together where I have the exact formula? And when I tell you, I'm telling you the truth. I made a plate of food. I went out on my deck after praying, and then I sat there with the cards, and then the formula just started coming to me. And so, from the experience of my first game, it somehow sped up the process that I understood the dynamics of how you want to get your game. Whatever your story is, it's like a story. What's the
yeah.
beginning? What's the middle? And how do you want it to end? And so you have to fill in the gaps in the middle. And that's why I was able to modify the other game. I did ask God for help too. I told the girl, I said, this little girl want to play the game. Can you show me really how to do it? And so I looked at the dynamics of the original, and then I realized if I modify certain cards so kids won't get in their feelings, they can make it happen. But I had to come up with that mathematical formula so it can still come to the ending that I wanted. But I have to tell you, and I'm proud to say this, my third game, I didn't have to pray because
Ah.
I fell in love with game making. I
Now
have
you have the formula, you have the recipe. You can just keep baking this, making different variations of it.
We have a multiplication game that I'm working on. I want to transition a little bit into the educational, a fun way of kids can learn their multiplication while playing with their parents because many of us, we learned our multiplication, but we got used to the calculator. I ain't got, oh no, here we go. Let me use the calculator. So in this game, the kids can play with their parents and see also how their parents can struggle with their multiplication and it makes it's suspenseful.
Right? I know. When kids go to their parents and ask for help with math, all of a sudden the parents like, "Oh, geez, look at all this stuff I've got to do over here. I can't help you with that."
Yep, I'm gonna change that one.
Oh
So
my God. Kids learn so much stuff so quickly now in school. I mean, the levels I think are way ahead of what I was learning. I was tying my shoes when I was in high school. No, I'm just kidding. I learned to tie my shoes pretty early on. That is so fun though. Yeah, you've got the formula now. I'm happy that you went out on that limb and asked for help and got into the business, and now you know how it works. And now you So let me ask you a question. Now that you know how the game industry works and have a little bit of insight into that, what's next for you? And are you going to just keep making games, or what else do you think you might be doing in that arena?
Well, I do want to continue to make games. I started on my second children's book. This time it's with the grandfather and his granddaughter. I also would like to do something in the community. I want to do some research on it. I want to work with plus size kids. I want to create a program. But this one would probably be an after school type idea and work with them under the umbrella of Zochi. Because Zochi is all kids. It's everything about kids. And so
Mm-hmm.
I like to take that pivot eventually over there to work on how to get some experts to partner with me, and let's work together on helping kids to develop their social skills, to feel good about who they are, teach them some etiquette and things of that nature. Provide them some tools that will help them in communicating with their parents, because a lot of kids want to say things to their parents, but they don't know how their parents are going to receive it.
Mm.
Also, see in the future of Zochi partnering with other industries, and let's do some family conferences at a very low cost where families can come in and get their tools and learn how to get connected with their children, where they create a safe space. And I tell people, we think sometimes as we raise our kids, we just know them, but how many of you really watch and study your child? And many of us are quick to say, oh no, that ain't my child. And then you find out it was your child. Then you're like,
Uh,
what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. It's just that you have to realize that your child is an entity separate of you. You brought them here, but they're their own person. And if you don't
yeah.
study their personality, and you don't study what motivates your child, and you don't teach your child boundaries and how to be kind and what's the benefit of those things, then you might see little Johnny say, yep, that was me, you know? And so those
Mm-hmm.
are the things that I think that are achievable and everything, especially once the game is out there and parents discover it. But I do like doing games. I am looking at board games. Someone asked me about digital. Well, I did decide eventually Zochi will have to go on with the 21st century of digital, but I don't want the type of digital where you're shooting people. I want digitals where we teach kids critical thinking and different kind of things like that. Maybe we can get some English or something. You get the sentence structure right, you get a point. Something that's going to help them to grow and be good citizens. Maybe some civility games, things that's going to nurture them and help them to transition to adulthood with a sound mind and a heart for humanity and civility.
I
That's what
think that
I do.
yeah, that is, you have some wonderful, wonderful goals. And I think that you're on the right track with helping young people better understand themselves and be able to have their parents better understand them, or at least how to better communicate back and forth between the two. Like you said, and to your point about, your granddaughter being online and not understanding who she was communicating with,
Mhm.
and, being able to learn about those things and not being afraid to talk about them or ask about those things, like, what's going on. And I love how you said that during the gaming and during when you were playing with your granddaughters, it gives you an opportunity to talk about things that might otherwise be uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And so I love that you're forward thinking, what's in the future are also along those same lines of, if we're engaged in this game or in this play, so to speak,
Mhm.
we're allowed to, it opens those channels for communication on a different level. That's what I was hearing you say. And I think that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a really beautiful motivation.
It really is. And so I even told my son, and I think I'm going to try to come up with a game idea, but I told my son, we teach our children to make good grades because we want them to get in the right vocation that's going to be able to sustain them in their life, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how many of us as parents take time to teach our kids how to think, how to work
Mm,
processes and stuff? And so I told him, instead of looking at television or they're on their phones, come up with a scenario questions and say, here's a scenario. How would you handle that?
yeah.
Because that will give you an insight. Is your child a leader or they're a follower? Do they know how to break down information? Or they got critical thinking skills? Are they kind? Or do they think like, no, I get rid of it? Those are things, those
Right.
are ways that you can find out about your kid by just playing a simple scenario. And then you can even make it so that you can say, hey, ask me, so put it up on the pieces of paper in a circle and you guys just pull it out and you have to answer that question. So that way they can put their type of questions in that they may want to ask parents. But this is in a like a playful way. And then you,
Yeah.
sir, and then explain why you did that. I used to always say when I train people and as well as how I learn, I always wanted to know the reason behind, I call it the reason behind the madness. Because if I understand why I have to do X, Y, Z, I'll remember it. But if you
Mm-hmm.
just tell me you got to do X, Y, Z, and I'm not mindful and I don't know the root cause of why am I doing it, it's just like, you learn it and then it goes away. But when you really understand the why behind what you're doing, it stays with you, I think, for a lifetime, really, because you know it.
Yeah. Yes, and that is a very valid point. If you don't have a why, you're just doing things.
Yep.
You're just plodding through life, or you're just going to work, or you're just doing whatever if you don't have that why. And in your case, you have a very big why, and you're very clear about what that why is and why you're developing these games and why you're doing all this stuff. So sounds to me like that you got your why nailed down,
I
right?
hope. I really feel like I do because even I get a chance to and we talked earlier, reinforce that why, even playing the game with my brother who has a brain stroke. So every
Mm,
time we play the game, it's like playing it for the first time. And he'll say the same thing. He's like, oh, I like this game. And I'll say, why you like it? He say, well, it's simple and I get to think without feeling stress. And I do it's a simple movement of left and right, color recognition, when I'm going to use my wild card. And he said it just makes him feel relaxed. He's engaged, but it's more so that he doesn't feel stressed. It's simple. He can just play it. And I think that's one of the important things too, when you have people that have any type of special needs, that if we can include them in the family fun, it also benefits them because
yeah.
they get to thrive more. And that's how I realized with my brother, the more and more I engaged him to everyday activity without me being stressed and creating stress for him, but just creating that enjoyable journey for him, I noticed he thrived more. I could have pretty made it to a point where I'm gonna do enough so you can survive, but I didn't want my brother to survive. I wanted my brother to thrive because he lost a lot once he became impaired with the brain damage. I knew he could not pretty much drive again. He lost a lot of independence. And
Mm,
so I wanted to give him enough independence where he felt good about his life. And I'm gonna tell you something I learned: when you're caring for someone who's at a disadvantage and they're vulnerable, and when they touch you, give you a hug or grab your hand, or a simple genuine thank you or a flash of a smile, it makes you feel so good. Because of all the accomplishments that I made, that was the biggest challenge of my life, that really pushed me to know my bandwidth, that I can go sometimes even beyond what I thought I can when it comes to humanity and loving someone. And people will say, "Oh, you're such a good sister. You're taking care of your brother." And I say this all the time, Sue. I'm not taking care of him because he's my brother. It's just the right thing to do. No one
Mm.
else in the family is stepping up. It's so hard now getting services. And I just felt like if I were to put him in some type of institution at the tender age of 55, the
Mm.
chance of him still being here knocking on 60, I don't think it would happen. He was an extrovert. He's independent. He was so used to going. And ever since I crafted a plan without experts, because it happened during COVID,
Oh boy. Wow.
I treated him what I wanted to be treated. I wanted to treat them with respect. I wanted to thrive. I wanted him to build relationships. And so it's just that was such an accomplishment that I think that it helped me to grow as a person too. And we always want to grow, not only just grow intellectually, but grow in the heart, expand your heart too. It just brings a beauty to life.
You have a beautiful soul and a beautiful energy, and am so impressed with, not just impressed. I mean, when you were just talking just then, my heart felt very full, and I got chills when you were talking about your brother. And it's not an insignificant thing to be a caregiver
Hmm.
in any way, shape, or form. And like you said, you weren't doing it because he's your brother. You're doing it because it was the right thing to do. And that's huge. I mean, that is, I mean, and it's, you have so many other things that you are doing as well as that. How long have you been taking care of your brother?
Since
Oh,
2020.
since 2020. That's right. You said it happened during the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost end up taking myself out. What I mean by is I was so stressed because there was no resources during that time, and I didn't have a system in place. And I
Yeah.
was about to administer his medicine, but then I also forgot that I need to take my vitamins, and I got distracted. So I ended up putting my vitamins in the same pocket. And so when I
Uh-oh.
gave him his medication earlier, I forgot a pill. And so when I reached into the pocket to take my vitamins, I had his high blood pressure pill. And it was the type of blood pressure where it drops you.
Oh
And
boy.
my blood pressure dropped very low. I ended up having to go to the emergency room. And it was a kind doctor, said what happened. I told her what happened. And she said to me, basically, I know you have to take care of your brother, but you have to take care of you first so you can be there for your
Yeah.
brother. And so I'm telling everyone, in order for you to help other people, you have to show up for yourself. Because if you're broken and you're tired and you're overwhelmed, you don't have the energy to give them the full capacity of who you are and be mindful of what you're doing. And when I started keeping that in the forefront, then I was able to come up with systems. I was able to study my brother to see what he likes, what he doesn't like, and create that thriving life for him because I showed up for myself first.
Mm-hmm. Just like they say when you're on a flight, put on your oxygen mask first, right? There's a reason for that. Where do you get your resilience from?
I think I get my resilience from because I know how it is to hurt, you know.
Mm.
And I was in a place one time in my life where I was assaulted. I don't have to go into details, but I was assaulted. And during that time, I was in college. And so I was faced with the decision, do I go home and be a victim or do I want to be a victor? And I chose the latter. I'm going to be a victor. And so by doing that, and then in the military, I got hurt. And there's no fault of the military, but they didn't give me enough anesthesia. And
Mm.
so I ended up waking up out of my surgery. And so that little incident at age 19 taught me that I can endure more pain than I think I can by focusing. And so I think that no matter what we go through, because people say, your life seems so wonderful, you have so much energy. But every day I face pain with my military disabilities, and I can easily make them an excuse, but it doesn't enrich my life, make an excuse. And so I learned some tools from therapists. I learned to dig within, what does Zorina want? Zorina wants to thrive. She does not want to survive. She doesn't want to be a victim. She doesn't want to be an angry person, a resentful person, you know. And so, in order to not be those things, you have to replace them with something good that you want to do that continues to have. I used to struggle in not thinking myself attractive. I don't know why. I think it might have been a part of something else in my life, until one day my friend asked me why. And then I realized, because no fault of her own, my mom used to be kind of critical, right? And I interpreted that. And I only criticized myself when I was stressed. I didn't think of the correlation. You know, when we're stressed, we're not mindful, we're hurting. Things are not going the way we want them to go. And so, with that resilience and courage and compassion, I started applying it on myself. I learned how to give myself grace when I dropped those balls. I picked them up and say, yeah, I dropped them, but that's okay. I'm human. I still got the love. I still got the patience. I got all of it. And so that's what keeps me going, is to recognize I'm not a superhero. I'm Zorina, and she's gonna mess things up, but she also knows how to pick them up, learn from them, and pass that knowledge on to other people, and just keep things going, playing it forward, playing it forward. And when you play it forward and you don't make it always about you, boy, do you develop that beautiful sense of gratitude and empathy for other people. It just makes you so humble that you want to be the light in the midst of the dark when all possible. And that's where it comes from.
Wow. Whew. That was very powerful. Your words are very powerful. I can tell that that is your being, and all of that beauty and resilience and everything that you bring to your family and yourself and your, all everyone. You're amazing.
Thank you so
You are
much.
amazing. I am so, wow. I'm kind of blown away here. I got to tell you, I'm a little speechless just to hear all of those realizations that you've made and how you've made those adjustments and how you made that choice not to be the victim. And you're like, it's okay. It's messy. I'm messy. We all make, we make bad choices sometimes, and that's okay. I'm giving myself some grace. Those are very, very powerful words, Zorina. They really are. And I think,
It took time. It wasn't easy. A
yeah,
lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of reflection. But I think when you're ready to do the work and you know that you are worthy of that work and you are worthy of success, and God sent people that pour good things into your life and you're ready for it, you're going to grow. And so now I feel like I evolved into a different person because I learned some things along the way. And I would like to say, in one transparent thing, parents, another thing, I think I have sensitivity to kids, because a lot of parents don't realize when an assault happens to your child, it stuns your growth. Mine
mm,
happened when I was 12. And so
mm,
never could understand why I couldn't understand certain things until one day someone did something and it triggered me, and I couldn't understand why I was triggered. And so I had made a decision to go to therapy and talk about it. And when she explained to me, when children experience trauma at an early age, it pretty much stops you. You're there. And
yeah,
so
you're at that
she,
age when the
yeah,
trauma
but
happened.
look, at 12. And so when she started going through I call it opening the doors. When she
Mm-hmm.
started opening the doors, some people might say peeling the onions, however you want to call it, she was the first person that was able to unlock that little girl that was in me. And once that little girl came out and she recognized the hurt and not feel shameful about what happened to her, it turned my life around. And then the real, organic, authentic Zorina started blossoming. And here she is today.
Yeah.
And I like
Wow.
her. I like her.
She's beautiful. She is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that that was difficult. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I mean, you, like I said, you are an amazing person. I had no idea that when I invited you to be on the show that it was going to be this such a beautiful, powerful episode. And I am so grateful that it is. I want to give you an opportunity if there's any final word. I don't know where to go from here. I feel full. I hope everyone is hearing your message from your heart that you are sharing out to the world, out to everyone that is listening today and beyond. And it is a ripple effect, and you are having a huge impact. I can feel it. Like I said, I still have chills. It takes a lot to make me speechless. And you've done that in a very beautiful way. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I would love it. Is there anything else that you would like to share as we close out here?
I would like to encourage parents, grandparents, family members, people in the community. We know that our children are thrust into this digital world. And it's all about digital now. We're gonna have AI, we're gonna have so many things. And I want parents to be mindful of their children. Be mindful, not only the children, but seniors. Too many seniors are being scammed, and
Mm-hmm.
children are being sucked into environments that are not safe. And for those of us that are healthy, we ought to be protecting our family members and our children, our neighbors' children, because they are our future. And we ought to be protecting our seniors because they bring wisdom to our communities. And we don't want society, because we have to go forward with technology, to destroy families, to make a profit, and to divide us. We don't need that. And so if you know a family that you notice their kids are too much on the screen, encourage them. Hey, there's an alternative out there if you want your child to play a game, you know? I know someone who's really advocating for that, and she created an amazing game. But it's not really, I shouldn't say this because they get on me all the time. I don't sell because the game will sell itself, because it's just that wonderful of a great pickup game. What I want to encourage you is the advocacy of encouraging parents to have digital balance. Let's protect our children. Let's protect our grandparents from this digital. Not saying it's evil or anything like that. We just know that that is our vulnerable population, and
Yeah.
they are easy targets of manipulation.
Yep.
And so we put up the safety nets to protect them so we all can have this beautiful, wonderful life of being in unity, of supporting humanity in the best effort we can. And join me in being a part of that, creating your own story of how you can help humanity. This is how I'm trying to help, but we all have our own gifts, our own motivations, but it starts with you. And I know you're going to do a great job like me. So join.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way to find out more about your games and find out more about you? Is it on your website?
This website, Zochey.com, Zochey.com.
Great. And I will put that in the show notes. And any other, are you on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or anything?
I'm trying my best, you guys. I'm
After we're
trying.
talking about all the digital stuff, then I go and
I
ask you that.
know.
Right?
No, no, because they say that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
But another transparent short moment, sometimes my anxiety won't let me.
Mm,
It just, I feel like when I do it, I'm exposing everything. So somebody might say, well, hey, you're doing a podcast. It's different with the podcast because podcast is about my advocacy.
yes.
I can do it also with social media. But remember when I said you have to take care of yourself first?
Yep.
So when I have moments like that, I don't push myself to try to be on social media. I'm going to take care of myself. And when I'm ready, I'll do it. But right now, I'm currently, I just hired someone to help me with that.
Good for you. That's
That's
it.
it.
Get somebody
So
else to do that.
that's
Well, we'll have them go to your website and they'll find out more about you and your wonderful games. And I just want to thank you again for being open and being vulnerable and being yourself and making the world a better place, Zorina. Thank you so much for being on
Thank you
today.
for inviting me, Sue.
All righty. Okay. Wait, the recording has stopped. It's stopping. It takes it a minute to slow down. And so what'll happen is it will keep recording on your local drive. And then once everything is finished and uploaded, then it will uh then it'll finish. So I'm glad we finally got over all of our technical issues in the beginning. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry to drag you down that rat hole. But yeah, thank you so much for being vulnerable. And I meant that. I meant everything that I said. That was really very, I had no idea that we were going to go in that direction, but I appreciate you being honest and being open and being vulnerable about everything that makes you who you are and has brought you to the choices that you make today. And
Because sometimes too, I didn't realize it till I had an interview and the lady said, oh man, everything seems so perfect with you. And I didn't share that story about the trauma. I don't know. I felt compelled to share that. But I had correct. I said, no, that's not true. I said, I have things that have happened to me. I just try not to be the victim. I really don't. Because if I were to allow, I used to struggle really bad with anxiety and depression.
mm,
And then one day I, it's like a voice within me said, you don't have anxiety, depression. You experience it. Experiences come and go. And oh man, I started meditating on. I said, yeah, I get headaches. They come and go. Pain come and go. The happiness come and go. And so miraculously, I stopped having those bouts like I had. It's like, wow. So now I've gotten to a place where I was shameful of having anxiety and depression because I don't know if you know this, but in the Black community, mental health is like, ooh, taboo, you know? I used to hear a preacher say, oh, Christians don't get depressed. So that stayed with me. And I think, honestly,
Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Life Worth Being. I hope you found it fun and inspiring. And to avoid a bad case of FOMO, please be sure to click that subscribe button. If you love what you heard today, please share it with a friend and then hop on over to your favorite podcast platform and return the love with a wonderful review and 5-star rating. It would truly mean the world to me. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and on my website. Links below in the show notes. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week for more fresh insights on awakening a life worth being.